Welcome to Leaders in the Arena. My name is Jenny Whitener. I'm the CEO of Bridge Innovate, and for over 20 years, Bridge Innovate has partnered with leaders to solve problems and build leadership capability. This series is designed to share valuable insights and lessons from our clients and network in the field as inspiration for leaders in the arena. Here at Bridge Innovate, we're focused on empowering teams to lead, think, and problem solve differently. We offer a variety of services from the strategic planning to leadership development to our Future Lab, which uses AI to enable brainstorming and prototyping. Today, though, we're excited to have with us Keri Randolph, who'll be talking to us about the Chattanooga Future Fund and its investing in hope capability. So Keri is the executive director for Chattanooga 2.0. She has been here in the Chattanooga area leading in that position for over 3 years. In fact, this is her multiple tours of duty in Chattanooga, and we are so thankful that she is here with us in a leadership role in our community. Prior to Chattanooga 2.0, she was the Chief Strategy Officer for Nashville Public Schools, and prior to that, with Tulane University, a School of Professional Advancement as director there of their pre-K through 12 program. She has recently received her doctorate in education leadership from Harvard University and is a graduate also of Agnes Scott College. We are so thankful, Keri, to have you with us today to share this amazing story about an innovation that's making huge difference in children's lives. Please share with the audience a bit more about yourself.
Thank you so much, Jenny. It's so great to be here. It's great to be with you always. I've always admired Bridge Innovate, all the work that you do, and it's been impactful in my career, so I'm just grateful. And thank you for that great introduction. I think the thing I would add is just quickly, people might wonder what Chattanooga 2.0 is. And we are the cradle to career backbone or intermediary for Chattanooga and Hamilton County, Tennessee. We literally work birth to career on really important outcomes linked to economic mobility for our community. And the thing I would add, in addition to my background, is most of my background, as you mentioned, has been in K-12 and higher ed. And what drew me back into this role is we really are not limited to those systems and can work on root causes and challenges across that cradle to career continuum. And the Future Fund that we're going to talk about today is an example of that. Thrilled to be here.
Well, thank you so much. And as always, Keri, you take on the world, and we love this cradle to career, right? So you're embracing this broadest spectrum of enabling students to be successful. So thank you first for your leadership in our community and all the great things that you're doing for us. Talk a little bit more about the Chattanooga Future Fund and how it's a game changer for Hamilton County students.
Sure. So I love that you called this session today Investing in Hope, because this is how we think about this. So I'm going to start off by just saying, imagine a community looking their kids in the face and saying, we believe in you and your future so much that we're investing in it today. That is a powerful message to send to our kids. And it is totally linked to the future of our community and our economic prosperity. So at its heart, the Chattanooga Future Fund is a small asset, a small financial asset that does build hope and possibility. And it is rooted in, we know that post-secondary attainment, whether that's workforce training or a traditional college degree, is key to a thriving wage career and a life, connecting our students to the life that they want to live. So you see here, we talk about it as claiming your dream. And we really are working to prepare Hamilton County kids for bright futures. So if we go to the next slide, have a little more of the mechanics behind it. So at its heart, it is a small financial asset for all kindergarten and middle school students registered in Hamilton County Public Schools. It starts with a $150 seed account that's placed in that account. That's a community investment in that student. And then that grows over time. Obviously, it is mimicked after a 529 and has a 529 product as part of it. So it can grow over time, but it also opens up the capability for that student and their family, other community members, nonprofits, employers to invest in those accounts on behalf of our kids. And it's pretty broad. It does have to be used for training beyond high school. That can include 2 and 4 year college or university. It can include apprenticeships. It can include workforce or technical training. And it can include all those expenses that we know are they're often barriers for students. So housing, transportation, books, all the things. So it's pretty broad in its allowability. Really, though, what it creates is a platform for investment in our kids.
It sounds great. I mean, one of the things that I love about this human-centered design approach to innovation is that you're listening very carefully to the barriers, right? So as they graduate, finish that high school year, what's the barrier to being successful in our communities? And having this future fund investment early on and preparing them for that next component of education or training to prepare them to be career ready. So human centric. I love it. It's all what we're about here at Bridge. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about is that historically in the financial services sector, they're one of the slowest to innovate. And so when I saw you guys launch the Future Fund, I was like, this is amazing. How has Keri engaged with the financial world to get this new product to launch and really make a difference here? Talk about how you were able to engage the financial services sector in this innovation.
Yeah, no, I appreciate this question so much. And we want our financial institutions to be solid, right? Careful innovation probably is the right word. They have been an amazing partner, and this might surprise many people, but the original partner is, and a really great partner in this work has been the Tennessee Treasury. So they have a 529 college savings program called Tennessee Stars that they really promote across Tennessee. And they've been very supportive of this work because they know we have many solutions across Tennessee. We have Tennessee Promise, that's free community college. We have UT Promise. There are Pell Grants. We know there are other tools that help kids get to and through post-secondary, but what we've learned is there's still a big gap. Mm-hmm. There's gaps financially, but there's also gaps in hope and belief. So the Treasury's been a great partner. Our local financial institution partner, lead partner is Pinnacle Financial Partners, and they've been tremendous. And when we approached them about being a partner, they actually jumped on board early on and have helped us innovate along the way. So we've created a financial tool with them. It's a specialized escrow account that supports families and protects them from the tax burden as this money grows over time. So they've been tremendous. And I think what they see here is the more people have growing financial literacy and understand these tools that are at their disposal, these financial tools, the more prosperous our community is, the more customers they have, to be honest. And they've been all in from the beginning, to be frank. And if we go to the next slide, a little bit of why they're so bought in is some of the research that's come out around small assets like these. So we're not the first community to think about this. We are doing it in an innovative way, to your point, that was designed for our community. But there are statewide programs in Oklahoma. San Francisco has one of the longest programs, a little bit similar to this. New York City has one. Atlanta has one in just a neighborhood. So the nice thing is some of these have been going long enough that we had some early data that really, I think, compelled some of our financial partners as well as our other partners. So children who have between $100 to $500 in an account like this are from low to moderate income are 3 times more likely to go to post-secondary or something more after high school and 4 times more likely to graduate. Those are tremendous numbers. It is really hard to find in the research space anything that has that much of an impact, right? So that was very compelling to all of us. And look, anybody who is paying for college, has paid for college, is thinking about paying for college, knows how much it costs. So when we saw this $100 to $500 piece, like that's not just about a financial asset. Like certainly that helps, but it is a drop in the bucket, let's be frank. So what the research is showing is kind of those other bullets on the screen, which are, we see that it builds hope and belief from an early age. My family and I think of myself as doing something beyond high school, and we're starting to manifests that hope and belief in our actions, and we start to save and we start to think and plan around that. And we see there's some really improvement in having those future forward plans for our students. We see behavioral issues going down. We see higher expectations for themselves around what they do after high school. So this were really tremendous numbers. I will say the other thing that compelled us here is Tennessee has a matching program for families who make up to 250% of poverty, which is quite high, honestly, where for every dollar a family puts in, they'll match it with $4. So many of our families in Hamilton County, about 60% of them will qualify for that match. And that means that they'll have $2,000 in their account even before it starts to grow, or they have these other investments that we're talking about. Now we're talking about something that really can make a difference for a student and their family.
Amazing, an amazing story. And one of the things I find compelling, Keri, is that oftentimes people are fearful of innovation, or they'll think there's no way we can come up with something extraordinarily new. But what you've done is to take early trends or existing programming, connect it in new ways to really create a new program that's having a great impact. So it's just this combination of partnerships and collaboration that's come together to create this investment and hope for the children in Hamilton County. Amazing. First, in terms of bringing together all these partners to create the innovation. And secondly, one of the things that I just love about your story just now is this concept of the seed of hope. And I think oftentimes we get caught up in the tactics of an action. We've got to do this, we've got to do that, and all the many to-dos that we have on our list for the day, or the things that are driving us at our work. But this very fundamental, important element about having hope, and what can be a catalyst for that changes my behavior way back in school, like early days, right? I have a fund, I have savings, I'm going somewhere, in this investment of hope. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know that you've got some data that's talked about that, but do you have any early stories about how that's coming to fruition yet?
Yes, so such a good question. And we had a launch event in January. So this is new work, and we're learning every day, to your point, iterating, innovating, to connect this work to our families. But we had kindergartners and middle school students in attendance, and we had them fill out these little posters that say, really, it was like, what do you want to do when you grow up? Like that classic question that we're all asked as kids. And it's just so amazing to hear them. We have a video on our website that it's 5 minutes long, and it will make you smile. So I would encourage everybody to take a look. I watch it sometimes just so I can smile and remember the why, and give me hope around when the work gets hard. So to hear kids talk about their goals for themselves, and then to know that their community is behind them, and it is just so powerful. And it has really empowered our educators. The school system is not a funding partner on this work in any way. It is funded by outside dollars, but they have really come alongside and helped us build a structure of support around this, certainly aligned with their mission as an organization. If you think about it, like, what is the purpose of education? So we have just seen that it has been a vehicle of hope across lots of different stakeholders. Employers have engaged with us around it, and we hope to see more of that. Our nonprofit partners, our after school time partners. I mean, I think we all see that a community who's stepping up to invest in our kids this way is moving toward that. And when a mentor of mine, early on when we started this work, and I was talking to him about it, he said that thriving communities have hope. And to your point, this is a seed of hope. So I really try to keep that at the fore as we're designing and working and working to connect the Future Fund to all the families in Hamilton County.
Huge, huge. I know there are a couple of follow-up questions that I have, but one is around this concept of, how you're using this aspiration of hope. And I assume it's like you said, there are many people that it inspires, not just the student, probably their parents, the community at large, right? Sort of the depth and breadth of this this momentum that you're creating around hope. How do you use that to close this gap between education and opportunity? Because it sounds like that this could be a really critical enabler for getting people out of poverty or getting them new opportunities they wouldn't otherwise have.
That's a great question. I really think of the Chattanooga Future Fund in some ways as a platform. So certainly the small financial asset on its own, there is some evidence that that makes a difference on its own, but that's not enough. And so we really see it as a platform to align other systems of support, both financial literacy, college and career access supports, right? Mentoring. You can kind of see how all of this is in service of having a really strong post-secondary plan that's built while a student is in K-12, while they're in school with us, but then they have the connections and support to get there. I mean, I think about the work that Opportunity Insights and Raj Chetty has done that we're learning more and more about all the time about the importance of social networks in our success. I mean, that's not a surprise to any of us. We all have those networks. How are we being intentional about building those for students? So they not only have a financial asset, but they also have the people power and the connections to get where to live out their dreams, right? And to get connected. So I really think about it as an intentional system of support and hope, to your point.
Yeah, I mean, I see that support system coming into play. And I also like how you've called out the importance of financial literacy. You know, we talk so much about we learn best by doing, by them having this investment and the students being able to watch it, nurture it, right? And seeing what it means to have a savings account and having this investment account. So they're learning financial literacy by seeing that grow. So it's a really powerful approach to helping them embrace that. I know that you didn't do this alone. I know there was a ton of organizations and leaders behind you in pulling this innovation forward. Talk about those who've helped.
We have a ton of partners, and some of them are funders, but they're all thought partners. And we also have a whole network. So you'll see across this slide, we hold the Future Fund, but we're really running it and administering it on behalf of the community. So we have an advisory council that's made up of diverse leaders from across the community, both public and private sector. We have a group of community champions who are really helping us connect all the way down to the neighborhood level. We train volunteers to go into their communities and help folks sign up, be knowledgeable about it. And then we even have like a marketing and communications team where we have people donating their expertise to the Future Fund. And then we have an educator advisory council. They work with families every day. So we really have built a whole structure of support across the community to try to really deliver on the promise here, but to also just get everybody engaged and excited about this work. And that's been one of the most uplifting things, is to see the excitement of families. But we have found that everyone gets excited about investing in our kids in this way. So we're just trying to find all the ways to connect people and help them see themselves in this work and to help us make it better.
Right. And it's so great that you were intentional, right, about the partners that you brought together. So you had that full scope of capability come into fruition. Let's go back to the previous slide and talk a little bit more about how the platform works and help the audience understand that.
Yeah, thank you so much. So really, once you have a platform like this, and just to get a little technical for a second, the way that this appears for a family is we have an app, of course, because everything has an app now, that they can pull it up and they can see the funds in their account. It also has some financial literacy tools. It's not unlike if anyone has a IRA or 401k where you can pull up and see what you've got there, and it will say, if you put $5 in every month for the next X number, this is what you can anticipate. So it's really a robust app that aggregates all of the college and career investments that are being made on behalf of the family, but also on behalf of the community for that student. And anyone can contribute to this. This is what becomes really possible. So someone can call me up and say, you know what, my business partners with X elementary school, and we would like to add $50 additional to every kid's account at that school. We can do that, which is really exciting, right? It also avoids scholarship displacement. So there's this process that's been happening with financial aid packages at colleges where If money is passed directly to the institution in a student's name, so they earn a scholarship, it's deducted from their financial aid package. This is protected from that. So this money is like a 529 where it's protected and can be used for a myriad of uses and is passed to the students for approved purposes. And then we're asking organizations, community members, employers to engage and enroll families. We actually have a few employers who are making matching contributions to the accounts for their employees' kids. So we have lots of ways that people can engage, and people are coming up with more and more ways across the board. Just as a quick example, we announced just a little bit ago, Chambliss Center for Children at their pre-K graduation. If you haven't been to a pre-K graduation in a while, I highly recommend it. Fun, entertaining, amazing. But the board and staff of the Chambliss Center was able to announce that every student graduating from Chambliss Center for Children going to kindergarten would have an additional $50 investment on behalf of that board and staff. Like, how exciting is that? Right. So there's lots of ways for the community, employers, nonprofits, and others to invest in our kids because we have this as a platform of hope for our students.
Right. And how inspiring to, if whether you're a parent, a guardian, or the student themselves, right, to see this fund grow and to see others investing in you, how inspiring that has to be, and almost taking on a responsibility for your personal growth, right? Others see this investment in me, it's time for me to take that responsibility for growth. So talk more about what's next. I mean, this is an amazing launch. Have you got other things and other next stages under your sleeve here? What's going on? What's happening next?
I mean, I do, Jenny. So this is, we have launched this as a 5-year pilot as a proof point. We are doing robust program evaluation and evaluation, both for continuous improvement, but also to make the case. We hope this lives in perpetuity, but we did want to time limit it so we could report out to the community on the impact of these funds and on the impact of these accounts and having this as a platform. So that's when we're building a really robust system there. We have a deeper engagement in a set of our highest poverty middle schools. We think that's such a critical time for students, especially as they're thinking about their future. And so we are really have a deeper investment in those middle schools around financial literacy, around mentoring, around college and career advising. So we're really watching that work closely in concert with the school system and all the supports they have, as well as our out of school time partners. So we want to see that work grow. So we have like a pilot within a pilot that we're making the case around. I think we continue to think about, so we launched with kindergarten, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So all those students, all kindergartners, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders over the next 5 years will be eligible. But I think we're thinking too about what else is needed. And, other communities have baby bonds and other innovations that we're thinking about too. So I think this is us stepping out as a community in this type of investment. And we will be carefully looking at the return on investment for our kids, for our community, and iterating all along. And then for 2.0, for Chattanooga 2.0, we do work cradle to career. So we work really hard in early childhood and literacy and education to workforce. We really see this as an overarching platform for all of our work. So how does all of our work kind of fit under this whole concept of hope and a thriving future? And so we're continuing to think about just that as an umbrella for the work that we do across the community.
Amazing, amazing. I'm sure we've got a number of people, our guests, listening live today. And just as we get closer to the end of today's program, I just invite them, if they have questions for you, to please go ahead and post those in the chat. But one of the things I wanted to ask you is that as you guys are nurturing this pilot, the Future Fund, the investing in hope for these children, how are you sharing it with other school systems? Because I can see from some of our audience today, we have other school system leaders on the program. How are you sharing what you're learning? How are you kind of paying that forward and inviting others to come along with you?
So about once a week or so, someone reaches out to ask if they can connect to discuss this. We are happy to do that because we certainly have reached out to all kinds of people as we've been building the Chattanooga Future Fund. We're working on, as we especially are building out the evaluation piece, we want to be able to share our learnings back with the community. I'm always grateful to others who have shared their learnings, both good and, those challenges that they wouldn't want to repeat. We try to be very open about those things. And so we're happy to talk with anyone about this, and have been talking to other communities from really across the United States. I can't say that that's even focused in one area, but we don't have great storytelling yet. And we did just launch in January, but our goal is to provide some more information, both for our community so they can learn more about it, but for others if they're interested in launching or doing something like this. I will say, as a school, I've worked in school system leadership in 3 different school systems. And so I know how hard that work is. I will say the thing that I would say to school system leaders specifically is this is something that the community is stepping up to do. So certainly the schools, that's where kids are. They are trusted partners with families. So certainly they play an important role. But one of the things that we talk about with families is this is not the school system working, right? They are a partner in this work. This is our community coming alongside us. I think that's a really important message for our educators, our school system leaders, right? And everyone to hear that this is beyond the work of a K-12 school system.
Right. Well, that's interesting. When you think about other communities, whether it's in the state of Tennessee or some of our neighboring states, if they don't have a Chattanooga 2.0,
yeah.
How may they get a core catalyst group going? Do you have any suggestions for that?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I do think, I was at the table. I was actually assistant superintendent in the school system when we launched Chattanooga 2.0. And the whole premise of our organization is it can't just be about school. We won't get there, right? And that is such a gift and a challenge for us, like to choose the right things to work on. And certainly we're in constant conversation with the school system. But I do think there's other places that this can live. Most communities have stood up or are working with some type of nonprofit just because of the whole operations side of it and what's needed that's working in partnership. But I can see where a strong table of financial partners could help start to brainstorm something like this. We went full bore and went district wide. I would encourage, and there was reasons that we did that. And I mentioned in Atlanta, starts in one neighborhood. So you can wrap your arms around a smaller group of kids and families to get started. So if you don't have an organization like ours, I would encourage folks to start there, like where you have partners you can pull together and start on a smaller level. So for example, I believe Atlanta started with the East Lake neighborhood, right? They could wrap their arms around, they had the right partners to pull together. Both as far as funders, implementation partners. So I would encourage them to think through that and probably start smaller, to be honest, than we have with all 45,000, right? We have a 45,000 student school system. So right now about 14,000 kids are eligible for the Future Fund. And over the next 5 years, almost 40,000 will be eligible.
So interesting. I think, like you said, it starts small. Great advice for our listeners today. Find that sort of catalytic partner where it's a financial services institution, maybe it's a parent-teacher organization, maybe it's a business, maybe it's the state treasury, like you're talking about the Tennessee Treasury that's looking to create this investment and hope fund. And how do you come together, learn from what you're doing, being inspired by the Chattanooga Future Fund, and then make that your own? I actually think, if you think about the movement today on sustainability and social impact, what a great opportunity for the financial services industry to use this as a catalyst of how they can actually give back and create new innovative products where they partner with the community to invest, right, in children of the future. So inspired, Keri, so inspired by your work. Always, always, always. Is there any additional advice as we wrap up today that you have? I know that we probably don't have time for questions, but any additional advice that you might have for others who are looking to launch this type of innovation?
Yeah, and I'm just really grateful for the time today. I appreciate any conversation with you, Jenny. But I will say, I've made it seem so simple. The mechanics of it are harder than I anticipated. So many things like that are like that when you get into innovating, right? I think we all know that. But I would encourage people to stay grounded in the why and the hope. And that's why I watched that video I mentioned on days
Yes.
when things get hard, to hear it from the kids, and to see the kids' faces, and they will bring you hope when things get hard. And so just remember, I would encourage people to get really clear on the why that they're doing it, and it'll help you through those hard days when things seem less hopeful. We've made it through all of those things, because kids are hope, is the way I think about them, and they're the hope of our community.
Right. Well, just we shout out, remember, you can get to Keri's website at ChattanoogaFutureFund.org. That's ChattanoogaFutureFund.org to check out more of her work and to see that amazing inspirational video that she's talking about. I want to thank you, Keri, for being with us today. Thank you again for all your leadership in our community and actually around the world. So I know that your footprint is everywhere. And I want to thank our guests for joining us today on Leaders in the Arena. We have more programming coming up. We have a session on authentic leadership coming up on June 18th, which is tomorrow, with Vicki Gordon and Sherry. So it'll be a great session there. We also have an open studio day at Bridge Innovate if you'd like to work from here and be inspired, June 25th. Free to anyone that makes a reservation, and foundations and AI and design thinking. So lots coming up at bridgeinnovate.com, and check out our events page. Thanks, Keri, for being here, and thanks to all our listeners for joining us today. Bye now.